of making sure that people move around and spend some money in the midst of crisis. Next. So some materials that we're trying to roll out to various markets. Next. Positioning local products and the Filipino brand of hospitality and service. Next. And of course, our markets here would be coming from the short-haul markets, primarily from Korea, ASEAN, and Japan, and those Filipinos coming home for the season.
Yeah, the Filipinos coming from the USA, Mr. Undersecretary, I am aware that the program of the DFA, which would bring Filipino-American leaders across the continent in the US, is coming in July.
In July, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, what do you call that?
Ambassador's Tour.
Yeah, Ambassador's Tour. They're coming in July. May we know exactly what is the participation or how does the DTI, the tourism support this program?
Actually, the DFA is a partner of the DOT in the rollout of the Ambassadors Program. It's been ongoing for, I think, more than 10 years already. More than 10 years hosting events and dinners for all of these groups coming in. Now, it is a group that comes twice a year, Your Honor. One for the winter season and one for
it's also from Canada. I think it's called Winter Escapade.
Yeah, it's a winter escapade from Canada. And the original one is the Ambassador's Tour coming from the
I think in July they're coming to Iloilo and Boracay.
Yes, sir. We are preparing for the Iloilo visit and the Boracay visit. Next slide. So, of course, last part of the slide, Your Honor, is to show you that part of our messaging is that the Philippine government is responding on the crisis, and we are on it, and we're not letting the ball drop in terms of communicating to everybody. Thank you very much.
Siguro, sir, can we just get data tourist arrivals natin, yung sa accommodations, may mga ganong figures.
What we can give, Your Honor, is our estimate for foregone revenue, because there was really a travel restriction. When we stopped the flights from China, Hong Kong, and Macau, and just last night Taiwan, what we did internally was to look at the growth rate of those markets in all Februaries of 2017, 2018, and 2019. We added that compound average growth rate on 2019's performance, and we came out with the 2020 projection. So after we did that, we also used the national average spend of $120.60 per night and average length of stay of 9 nights. So the Secretary has shared this last night in our press conference that our estimate for those markets, China, Hong Kong, and Macau, for the month of February would be down to around 14.8 billion in terms of foregone revenue.
How much?
14.8 billion pesos in terms of
28.
14.8.
14.8.
Yeah, close to 15 billion. Our estimate of the foregone revenue, and that already includes.
Taiwan doon.
Hindi pa kasama ang Taiwan. We are in the process of computing. We already have it. We just need our the clearance from the Secretary.
So that's 14.8 billion for January. And
Just for February. Just for February.
For February, 1 month lang?
Yes, sir. Because of we stopped the. In 2018, the China market alone spent 112 billion pesos in Philippines. Yes, sir.
So, assuming that this episode lasts for 6 months, what kind of foregone revenue?
Let us get back to you in greater detail to that. We are computing because our hope, Mr. Chairman and Madam Chairman, is that this ends tomorrow. So we only computed until end of February.
So, my chair is saying, is it correct to compute it 15 billion pesos times 6 months? Just on a rough estimate? Or in the...
It differs month to month, but it should not be far away from the 14. So it ranges from maybe 9 to 14 billion based on our projection. But just as a matter of record, in 2018, and this is also shared by our economic team, the economic team of the government, just for the China market alone, it's 112 billion in 2018.
Although February might not be a representative month because February is one of the peak seasons for the China market.
Yes.
Because of
Kasi malabing doon sa kanila, ha?
At saka Chinese New Year, they do travel to the Philippines.
thinking, siguro, can we ask from the DOH kung nararapat naman na magbigay ng ganitong promotion yung DOT? Because di ba meron din kayong advisory to avoid converging in big groups. In fact, may mga advisory din noon na to forgo muna yung mga parang big events coming from, I think, I'm not sure kung DOH yun o World Health Organization, yung may ganitong palawanan. Yes, ASEC,
Good morning, Chair. Good morning, Senator. Yes, we have that advisory, but if I can just make my presentation to provide the current updates
Please
on
go ahead.
coronavirus.
If I may respond.
I don't want to be in your shoes, guys. You have left hand, DOH saying, don't have big gatherings because contagiousness, etc. On the other hand, you guys would want people to gather together for tourism.
But our response to that, Your Honor, Mr. Chair, Madam Chairman, is that all of tourism stakeholders involved in this are equipped to handle the crisis. So we have precautionary measures, we have the protocols, and we follow them religiously. So that is our response because tourism business in one way or another has to continue.
Nangangantsaw lang ako.
Yes, sir. Sinagot naman natin.
For the DOH side, sir, just to inform you that it was just a recommendation actually. We did not totally ban or discard. It was a recommendation. But can I just provide the updates? Next slide, please. So just a background of coronavirus, we say that this is a large family of the coronaviruses. We've seen MERS-CoV and SARS, and these are all parts of the coronaviruses. We have a new strain that was discovered, so that's 2029 in novel, and its disease is acute respiratory disease. It's a zoonotic disease, which means to say that it's transmitted from animal to people and human to human, and may I say that the transmission is through droplets. So the signs and symptoms.
Ate Roquillo,
Yes.
so hindi, kasi di ba parang there's, may kumakalat na airborne.
Well,
Hindi pa na-establish na airborne siya.
wala pa pong na-establish na airborne. We just asked WHO last night, and there was no study to say that it was airborne. So as of yet, WHO is telling us that this is transmitted through droplets.
So at the moment, wala pang
Wala pa po.
confirmation na it's airborne.
It's airborne. Yes, ma'am. So the signs and symptoms can be from having fever and cough, but other respiratory symptoms like shortness of breath and difficulty of breathing. In as much as this is a new virus, there's no vaccine as of yet, and the treatment is just symptomatic, just like any virus. Next slide, please. So this is the global picture, and we got this from the WHO report, 1600 Central European Time as of yesterday, 40,554 cases, 3,000 new cases as of yesterday, that's 10 February. 910 deaths, all of the
Siguro,
deaths.
Asset,
Yes.
just an update, I think today, 1,000 na ata yung deaths. Nag 1,000 na today.
1,007 po yung unang binigay na number pero kinorek po kami na sabi 910.
So mali yung,
Oh,
mali yung 1,000.
107 yung unang binigay nila na number po. But we were corrected this morning to say that it's 900.
So hindi niya pala big-reach yung 1,000.
Question, Madam
Well,
Chair.
that's of February 10 po, ma'am.
Secretary, is it correct to state that the fatalities had pre-existing conditions? In other words, they had pneumonia, whatever. There's a pre-existing condition which caused their death when they got exposed to this virus.
Sir, what we're saying and what the HO is saying is that around 80% of the deaths have comorbidities. So it's more the infection, it's more severe.
80, can you repeat that please? 80%
Yes, around 80% of deaths are with comorbidities.
are with what?
With comorbidities, so they had other diseases.
Yeah.
And they were infected
Don't be
with,
technical. Hindi kami doktor.
Yes,
eh. So,
and they were,
ano ba
they had,
yung isip?
they had other diseases.
They had yung ginamit
Yes.
kong term, they had pre-existing
Pre-existing
80%.
Yes, sir.
Other diseases like what? Diabetes,
Like
may heart
diabetes,
heart problem.
heart problems. So these are immunocompromised patients actually,
Yes.
and having taken the coronavirus.
Yes.
Yes,
And
sir.
the 20% would be talagang caused by coronavirus
Yes.
without any pre-existing condition.
Yes, sir.
Okay, sige. Just for our information. We might
So-
want to look for 80%, 24 na senador, ang 80% 21 mga anyway, sige.
So the data in the Philippines now is that we have 314 patients under investigation. Well, we already know that 3 were confirmed positive, but these are imported support Chinese nationals. Of them, 1 died. Currently, we have 261 admitted patients and 50 so far have been discharged.
Sir, as a, out of the 3, di ba, 1 died, yung
One.
isa ata magaling na,
Dalawa na po.
dalawa na yung
Yung
magaling.
dalawa magaling. They have returned to China already.
Both.
Yes.
Kaso yung girlfriend nung namatay, nasa China na rin.
Tsaka yung third case po, nung na-release, umuwi na po sa China. So, next slide please. So, we know that we also had repatriates. These are a total of
Kasi
49
dun sa
persons.
314 under observation, ilan ang Filipinos, ilan ang Chinese?
Uh,
Anong demographic?
yeah. Mostly these are Filipinos already. We have the numbers that we can provide that. But most of the persons under investigations now are Filipinos. From the time that we have stopped, we have had travel bans.
And then out of the 300, ilan doon
ito
yung,
po.
dahil sa contact tracing nyo, sila yung may, ano ba yan, nakasalamuha ng tatlong nag-positive for
Yes.
ENCO.
So, I'm given the numbers now. Out of the 314, 183, or that's about 50% are Filipinos, 89 or 99 or 32% are Chinese. And then we have Americans, Brazilians, Finnish, konti na lang po yun. So, of the-
Ito mga Filipinos, ano, may previous travel ba sila to
Most
Wuhan?
of them na po yung sa contact tracing na po ito.
So itong 100 hindi
Karamihan
contact
na po.
tracing na to. So walang Filipino na nanggaling sa Hubei province.
Ay, itong repatriates na po.
Ito lang.
Itong
Hindi,
repatriates.
kasi di
But
ba
we had-
before the travel ban,
Oo.
I assume may nakakapasok na Filipino.
Well, I'm told, ma'am, that meron po. But many of these already are come from the contact tracing.
Ito po yung ano.
Ito po yung sa repatriates. Yung nasa sa village ngayon. So, 32 from China, 14 females and 18 males. 5 of these are children. Yung actual repatriates are 30, but we included the 2 staff from DFA who went there as an advance party to look at all the documents. So we considered them 32 already. We also had the teams, the medical team from the Department of Health, from the DFA, and the plane crew and the ground crew. That's a total of 49 Filipinos now under quarantine. Next slide, please. So if we just compare SARS and MERS-CoV and Corona, these are the case fatality rates. We had the SARS in 2003, that's 10% case fatality rate. MERS-CoV, 36%. Well, and coronavirus, that's 2.16. But of course, this is just 2 months, January and until today po. Next slide. So these are our key messages. The first takeaway after presenting these numbers is that we're saying that as of yet there is no local transmission, and this piece of information is important. We talk about how we will continue to respond. Next slide. So the response that we have is using the four-door framework. Last December, when we first broke out the news that was about the infection in Wuhan, so we were essentially in door 1, so that's data gathering advisory. Then when we had cases at the ports of entry, that was door 2. And now, because we have the first confirmed case, we're now in door 3. Next slide. So to keep this situation under door 3, we classify our response into 4 types: quarantine and point of entry, surveillance, case management, risk communication, and community engagement. The LGUs are expected to take part in the surveillance, risk communication, and community engagement through our barangay emergency health response teams, and then DILG has this policy. It is being supervised by the cities, municipalities, or the provincial health offices. With the LGUs with ports of entry, be it air or sea, and which houses designated quarantine facilities, it will have to work with the Bureau of Quarantine. And finally, LGUs with hospitals level 2 and level 3 are expected to provide medical care for our patients under investigation and persons under monitoring, and in no case should not refuse these patients. And the DOH has issued guidelines on this, and we are coordinating also with the guidelines being released by the group of Secretariat. Next slide. So this pretty much summarizes what the local government unit's contribution is to the response. First is to mobilize our BERTs, or the Barangay Emergency Health Response Teams. Risk communication and community engagement is to uphold good sanitation, continuous reiteration of the need for personal hygiene and infection control, limit or avoid mass gatherings, at least until there's further notice to that, keep our constituents well informed, and very important is to combat infidelity, because as of yet there are just a lot of fake news, and everybody's using the same media, the Facebook, so we do not really know which is fake news or real news when everybody uses Facebook. So in terms of surveillance, PUIs and PUMs work with schools, hotels, condominiums, etc. So investigate, verify, and report cases through our local epidemiological surveillance units of our municipal health officers, city or provincial health officers, who in turn need to contribute or coordinate with the DOH Centers for Health Development. These are our regional offices. Monitor the PUMs on self or home quarantine, and regularly report, perform contact tracing, and refer as much as possible once we have the signs and symptoms to level 2 or level 3 hospitals. And when there are confirmed cases, level 2 and level 3 hospitals need to facilitate the extraction of these report. Hospitals need to make isolation rooms available and make the necessary referrals to RITM for the swabs. And hospital management should make available the personal protective equipments, and allow this time to reiterate that the use of mask, kasi nagkakawalaan po rin ng mask. If we say that mask sana will be for health workers directly working with our cases. Our second key
So,
message,
paano yan? Yung DOTR ba? Or LTFRB, sila yung nag-require sa mga jeepney drivers natin to wear mask. So, do you agree with that policy?
what we're saying here is that because if there's no exposure, there's no need to wear masks. We have had issues and concerns of groups actually distributing masks, and we're reserving these masks to those who should be really needing it, and these are the direct health workers and others who are in direct contact with person, patients under
Question,
investigation.
Madam Chair. Shouldn't the DOH take the lead role here so that all orders should come from them? Like this one, the chair is bringing out attention that it was the DOTR who required the drivers to wear masks. You're saying it's it's absolutely not, hindi mo kailangan ng ganun ka. So, can we work out internally an arrangement with the cabinet na pagdating sa that the DOH should be the lead speaker. The cabinet is not exactly known to be to have a coordinated message. You have, especially in the BFA, you have 4 different cabinet officials saying 4 different things. So, may I suggest that the DOH be the lead agency insofar as this coronavirus is concerned? Maybe a directive from the president can solve the problem.
Sir, the Department of Health has taken lead through the interagency task force. The Department of Health has taken lead through the interagency task force, and in the last meeting with the National Disaster Risk Reduction Management Council, we're taking on the lead for as far as coronavirus is concerned.
Yeah, you should be the lead.
Yung mga GP drivers po natin,
Time because tomorrow is the I think the 3rd meeting of the interagency task force, and I was told that you
Maybe a directive from the president that henceforth only DOH can speak about coronavirus. So that all the other cabinet members will stop talking and stop giving directives which are as uninformed as the senators.
Yes, sir.
That's our suggestion.
Yes, sir. So can we just proceed with the presentation?
But you must make yourself available to the media.
Yes, sir.
in fact, I think everything may, naman kayo press con, di ba? But,
We have our press conference every day at 1 o'clock in the Central Department of Health, and we also ask our regional offices to have their press conferences after the press conference done at the Central.
siguro just to add, kasi di ba, I think you engage yung PNP for the contact.
Yes,
So, pati mo yung PNP nagpapa-interview na din. Kung sila na yung
It's not so much, but it's DOH should take the lead role, and the other agencies should be told that questions from media on coronavirus should be referred to DOH. Huwag sila yung lahat nagsasalita, puro doktor eh.
And siguro that's one way of, fighting yung, fake news. Kasi minsan yung parang, tama ba yung sinasabi ng PNP na ba yun? But kung malalaman nung mga kababayan natin na pa sa DOH yung nagsalita, yun na yun, di ba? Huwag nyo nang pansinin yung PNP, huwag nyo nang pansinin yung other agencies.
So can we have the next slide then? The next, we just talked about other relations with NDRMC, and we said that we're taking the lead. Next slide. Next slide. So we're now talking of the possibility of transmission, local to local transmission. If that happens, we'll be moving to DOR 4, and this will be an epidemic surge. And considering the evolving nature of the etiologic agent, 2019 and coronavirus, it is difficult to say at this point in time. All prevent, but the best scenario is to localize it in a specific geographical area. For example, during the time of SARS, we were able to contain SARS in Alcala, Pangasinan, so it has not spread. And so we will have to enjoin everybody to provide transparent information as much as possible. And next slide. We just want to reiterate, and the good senators told us that DOH is the only source of the official information. So we have provided updates in the websites. And also, we've opened up our URL, that's ncov.tracker.uh.doh.gov.ph, that can provide daily updates. In the tracker, you can have the daily updates of the Philippine situation. At the left-hand corner, you'll see FAQs, infographics, the policies, and what is just to correct information, different information that's coming up. That's the whole presentation, Chair. Thank you very much.
And siguro, Asik, can you just comment dun sa balak na program ng if it's timely at the moment, or baka kailangan i-defer muna nito for a few months? Or
Well, as of yet, because marami na pong nagtatanong sa amin, until when will the event last? But because this is a new virus, there's no vaccine to it, it's really difficult to say. We're venting on previous experiences, SARS and MERS-CoV, that was about 6 months maximum. What's different now is that this is easily transmittable, and it takes about 14 days for the incubation and to find for signs and symptoms. So it's really difficult to say. What we're just saying now is that we'll really be cautious about the disease, personal hygiene, washing of hands, and all these precautions that we have at the moment. Well, doon sa question nila, ma'am, sa gatherings.
for example, kasi meron silang
Oo.
event next month, yung shopping. So people will go to the mall.
So we're not really, what we're just saying is that we'll put on precautions. Yesterday, meron hong nagtanong sa amin, merong mass wedding. Do we have to stop this mass wedding? And because families and the
Asik, baka
couples,
blessing in disguise.
so we said that we just continue. But also a precaution. Sabi nila, paano yan? May kissing pa ba yan? Sabi namin yung couple lang, siyempre. Wala nang beso-beso, wala nang handshaking. Philippine Sports Commission also asked, kasi meron ko yung badminton event dito. So initially it was open to the public. But they're saying now that they will continue with the ASEAN event sa badminton, but they're not inviting people to attend already. So they're taking in precautions. We're not saying that we stop the event. We're just saying that we take the best precautions for it.
But if the scenario, pag nag-move mo dun sa nagkaroon ng local transmission, would the protocol be different?
Yes, ma'am. The protocol will be different because if we go to local transmission, so containment na po yung gagawin natin kung saan. Ang sample nga natin yun yung nangyari sa SARS when we had local transmission in Alcala, Pangasinan. So we self-contained the whole province of Alcala.
Paano ba yung nangyari? Yung Alcala parang naging Wuhan?
Parang naging Wuhan na ho yun. Parang na-lockdown ho yung Wuhan.
And you only need one local
We need
transmission
just one
for that kind of containment?
for that kind of containment. That will bring us from door 3 to door 4.
Sige, thank you, Asset. Can we move on sa DOLE naman? Kasi nga alam po natin marami tayong mga kababayan na nagtatrabaho sa industriya ng turismo na matatamaan ng problema.
On general mandates of the DOLE, the Secretary should, of course, looking at all workplace first, Labor Advisory number 4, which is a safety and health advisory to prevent and control the risk of spread in workplaces. It also provides measures, and this is also taken from what the DOH has provided as guidance to employers for the care of workers who are suspected to maybe having the NCOV, such as providing workers with face masks, isolating affected workers, referring them to healthcare provider nearest local health center, and reporting the case to the health department and report the contamination. We also encourage employees in the private sector to offer telecommuting programs or flexible working arrangements to the employees, and we have the Dole Department Order 202, which implements the Telecommuting Act or Republic Act 11165. This is of course based on voluntariness and mutual consent of the employer and employee, but this will prevent of course workers if there would be the possibility of transmission, but they can still continue to work and they can work at home. And the Dole also have a quick response teams at the regional level to help and assist workers related to the employment related impacts. On the tourism, because there may be displaced workers in affected establishments, the Dole will be tapped for the two programs, the DLEAP or the Kabuhayan program, which provides the assistance for capacity building on livelihood entrepreneurial ventures for working for establishments that may have been lost or damaged due to because of this natural disaster. And the Tulong Panghanapbuhay or the TUPAG. Again, this is an assistance that provides emergency employment for displaced worker for a minimum of 10 days. So this can both be audited or 10 days.
So like, kayo nga, may nag-a-avail na ba sa tourism industry?
For the ENCO?
For the end?
For the ENCO. Wala pa po.
Wala pa.
Wala pa naman.
But may mga reports yung kayo natatanggap na displaced workers because
Wala
of the
pa. I mean, maybe this is also the venue now where if they are going to be affected, they can now approach the DOLE, the regional offices, the provincial offices, so that they can tap into these two programs of the DOLE.
And more or less, magkano yung pondo na pwede natin gamitin
For the livelihood, it will depend on the proposal that will be given. It can range from 20,000 to 1 million. But then for the 10 days, it's a minimum wage for 10 days. That may be available.
Thank you, Pak Director. From CAD, wala ata si Attorney Rivera. Maybe we can just ask EP Attorney Arcia from CAC to give us an update lang kung ano na ba yung situation ngayon sa airline industry.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Your Honors. There is now a steep decline in the number of flights to and from the affected areas. Last night, the CAB, in compliance with the directive to include Taiwan as in the coverage of the travel ban, the CAB alerted airlines that since about 11 p.m. last night, that Taiwan is now included in the coverage of the travel ban. And the natural consequence of the travel ban would be a steep decline in the number of flights to and from these affected or areas like Taiwan, China, Hong Kong, Macau, and now Taiwan. For example, in China, we have about 47 daily flights all over mainland China, and now maybe about 6 or 8. And because there are no more traffic, no more visitors, and if there are no more flights, then we would be resorting to special flights. Like for example, Philippine Airlines is going to mount a special flight to Xiamen in order to repatriate Filipinos that want to come home, subject to the quarantine requirements of the Department of Health. Cebu Pacific already stopped their operations to and from China, Hong Kong, and Macau. AirAsia already stopped. PAL stopped already. It's only Cathay Pacific. They used to fly 7 flights a day. They reduced to 2, and they will be reducing to once a day on February 15. China Southern is reducing from 4 to 2, and we expect that there will be a total cessation of flights once that there are no more people to be repatriated. Because I understand that if you're not coming from Wuhan or Hubei province, then for example, a Filipino coming from Shanghai can come home via the airlines that still are operating. But they're subject to the quarantine requirements. I understand it's a home or self-quarantine for home quarantine for those coming not from Hubei province. Thank you, ma'am.
Pero, Attorney Arcilla, technically wala na talagang flights from Hubei province. Tama mo ba?
Ma'am,
Yes, 100%.
Yes, ma'am.
No.
As early as January 23, at that point, the CAB already banned flights, not only travel, but banned the direct flights from Wuhan and any points in the Philippines, effectively banning flights from Hubei province because Wuhan is the only connection of the Philippines to Hubei province.
But may flights pa rin from Shanghai, from Macau, and from Hong Kong. and
We do not
Beijing.
have flights from Macau, we have from Hong Kong, we have from Shanghai, but they have declined very significantly. From, like I mentioned earlier, maybe 46 flights daily out of mainland China, and now there are only 8 per week.
And yung sa Taiwan, even if it was banned, may flights pa rin tayo papasok from Taiwan.
There will be flights, but we expect that there will be fewer and fewer. But the passengers these airlines can carry, like Eva Air, what else? There's another airline that flies there. Of course, the local airlines. They will be flying only or carrying only those who are qualified under the ban, meaning Filipinos and those who hold permanent visa, resident visas issued by the Philippine government.
And I think nung una atang in-implement itong ban, may mga Chinese pa rin nakalipad sa atin and then we had to send them back. May ganitong problema pa din ba tayo? Or
Actually-
from the airport pa lang, for example, like in Hong Kong, pag hindi sila Filipino or hindi sila permanent resident, they cannot ride the airplane anymore.
Actually, ma'am, I think the first line of defense would be the consular offices because the visa upon arrival has been suspended early on, and then the consular offices would not be issuing visas anymore. If they have visas before the ban, then the airlines would not sell them tickets, but if they already have tickets, they would not be checked in from, for example, in Hong Kong. If at all they're able to travel to the Philippines by some reason, for some reason, they will not be allowed entry by the immigration. So there are lots of screening areas posts that they will be prevented. And I heard from the Bureau of Immigration that they're offloading, meaning they are denying passengers or entry at the Bureau of Immigration. Many, like maybe 100 or so Chinese citizens or nationals who would be coming from China, for example, flying to Bangkok, but would be arriving in the Philippines within the 14-day threshold, because if you arrive in the Philippines via a third country, within 14 days, you have been in China, then you will not be allowed to enter the Philippines. So the vanguard would be the Bureau of Immigration. They would be
And kasama nung din sa form, I don't know kung in-implement na ng DOH yung form, yung parang history of travel.
Ma'am, there are a number of forms that complement one another. Number one would be the arrival card. that would also contain the contact number, the address, the telephone number. And then early on, we already directed the airlines to distribute we call it the yellow form. This is in accordance with the existing protocols. They would contain the seat, also the seat number, where the passenger is seated. And complementing this yellow form and arrival card would be the contact details from the airlines. And the airlines were forthcoming in actually providing the DOH, the Bureau of Quarantine, with the contact details. And immediately after the hearing in the Senate last Wednesday, where it appeared that there was a confusion between the transmission of the data from the airlines to the Bureau of Quarantine, we were able to clarify during the meeting the next day that the Bureau of Quarantine did not have any problem getting the contact details from the airlines, and there's a protocol that the Bureau of Quarantine would transmit the collated data to the Bureau of Epidemiology, and then the Bureau of Epidemiology would then give it to the Regional Epidemiological Bureau, surveillance unit, and with the assistance of the PNP and the community-based LGUs, they are doing the contact tracing, ma'am.
Thank you po. Siguro, Asa, sa DOH ba meron kayong war room where lahat na
We
data
have
is,
the emergency operations center available. Yes.
meron mo kayo.
Meron.
Kasi nga, after that hearing, parang nagkagulo-gulo eh, diba? So, out of curiosity. So, meron mo kayo gano'n.
It's at the level of the office of the secretary. That would be the one.
And you have all the gadgets needed.
We have the gadgets, and
mga
that's where we...
computer,
Yes po.
malakas signal nyo doon.
Yes po.
May ganon.
Meron.
Thank you. Maybe now let's hear naman dun sa side ng airline industry, which I think is sila talaga yung nakaka-experience ngayon ng negative effect of this virus. Maybe you're from Cebu Pacific first.
Good morning, Madam Chair. Actually, Cebu Pacific has already felt the inevitable impact on Philippine tourism and demand for air travel. Madam Chair, as mentioned by Executive Director Arcelia of the CAB, Cebu Pacific has suspended our flights to China, Hong Kong, and Macau. And with the order issued by the CAB and Immigration last night, we are also suspending our flights to Taiwan effective today. Based on our data, the bookings in China, Macau, and Hong Kong markets are down by 87% compared to, that's year on year compared to last year. And basically, our China, Hong Kong, Macau market is 13% of our total capacity. Because of the restriction on air travel, there are requests for refunds, and there's a potential refunds of around 1.5 billion. Again, this is due to restriction to travel to Taiwan, to China, Hong Kong, and Macau, and it is growing because of the order including Taiwan. On ensuring the safety of our passengers, Madam Chair, we are doing a cleaning and disinfection of our aircraft in between flights. I'm not a technical person, but we are informed that our aircrafts are equipped with a high efficiency particle arrestor. And aircraft cabin is changed every 3 minutes, which is at a higher rate than any indoor environment. We are also providing face masks to passengers who show symptoms of illness. When possible, we isolate passengers who manifest symptoms and nocturones inside the aircraft during flight. We are in coordination with health authorities in case there are passengers suspected of in-scope for further observation. Madam Chair, as early as January 10, and I think Bureau of Quarantine representatives are here, we are coordinating with them as early as January 10, and we have been working closely with the Bureau of Quarantine to anticipate the handling of any suspected virus. SEB has provided, as mentioned by Executive Director Garcia, we have provided the manifest as requested by government agencies like the Department of Health, Bureau of Quarantine, the NBI, the Immigration, and other government agencies like the PNP. We are also working with the relevant embassies in the repatriation of its nationals. On the part of the employees, we continue educating our employees, Madam Chair. As you know, we have thousands of employees and we have to educate them about the INCODE. Madam Chair, we also have the ACAP, the Airlines Association of the Philippines, and we have been also working with them. Despite of this, Madam Chair, we believe that the airline industry has weathered several crises in the past and we survived. And therefore, barring any extraordinary event, we anticipate that the impact on the demand for air travel will be temporary. The industry, Madam Chair, we believe that, as in the past, will bounce back once the situation normalizes. And with that, Madam Chair, we welcome any and all alleviation measures that the government, particularly the Senate, will pass in order to ease the burden on the industry in these challenging times, including, of course, the grant of any incentives or to airlines and promotion of local tourism. This afternoon, Madam Chair, will be meeting the Department of Tourism on some promotional activities to promote the domestic tourism industry. Your Honor, that would be all, and hopefully we can survive this challenging times. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Attorney Madrid. Suspend ko lang ako for a few minutes yung essentially the chair needs to answer the issue. Baka meron dyan. Please go ahead. Thank you.